Hi everyone, this is Toni Weel again from a beautiful, beautiful day in Florida. Not too hot, not too cold. This is how we like it here. Winter time is amazing in Florida. I don't want to be up in the ice and the snow anymore. That's over. I don't like it anymore. We have with us today Sarah from oops, Sarah from Virtuous Unicorn, Katie and Gary Parents. And we are going into a whole bunch of questions that Katie came up with. And I would say, go ahead, Katie. Oh, gosh, I have to apologize. Sometimes I'm still coughing, getting over the flu and the cold, the flu and cold symptoms, coughing and getting mucus out is part of it. But the good thing is I'm on day 20 of my lemon water fast and I am doing amazing.
Love
So
it.
yeah,
Yay.
it's absolutely it's absolutely great. And it's just my head that need a little bit more mucus out. So we keep on coughing until that is done. And I planned on going 21 days, but I'm like, yeah, I think I can do 40 days. So we'll just keep going. Oh, guys, it got a little noisy here. So Katie, Katie, can you start with your questions? I
Uh,
put myself on mute for a little to get the window
Perfect.
closed.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Okay, well, since Toni was just talking about how she's been doing an amazing job on her lemon fast, my first question that just came to me a couple minutes ago is about the lemon water because you put maple syrup in it. And I don't know if we've ever talked about why do we include maple syrup in this lemon juice fast. So if one of you guys could answer or tell us why do we use maple syrup in this?
So I should probably take that. Maple syrup is conductive of electricity. And when you use dark, use real maple syrup, and it says dark on it, and it is grade A dark now. There might still be some grade B dark out there, but what they did was they changed the brand from B to A, and they charged more for it. It's the same product. It has more minerals in it. So it has hydration and minerals. And those are the two things that conduct electricity. So the other important thing is when you put maple syrup in something or in the master cleanse, your body is living on that. The lemon is to clean, the water is to hydrate and help with the cleaning of the cells. It will get rid of mucus, it'll dissolve scar tissue. Uh, but the maple syrup, this is if you're doing a full cleanse, you're not eating anything, no solid foods. You need the maple syrup to maintain your hunger levels so you don't get hungry. And if you do get hungry, you take 3 or 4 good swallows because we sip this. We don't. Most people are have a malabsorption issue that is so deep. So this may relate to a lot of you. When you drink it and you just drink it down, it goes right straight through, and you have to go to the bathroom. These are the people that definitely need to sip. You sip it, say every 5 or 10 minutes, and you let it go in, and it has a chance to absorb into the tissue or to move and to get rid of toxins. So when you take 3 or 4 good swallows, you wait 15 minutes or so. If you're still hungry, have 3 or 4 more good swallows, and you're getting that maple syrup down in there, and it literally takes away your hunger. It's incredible how it works. And then you go back to sipping. And I don't care if it takes you 12 hours to drink 32 ounces. I try to do 16 ounces. Well, I think this is 16. It might be 20. But anyway, I keep Master Cleanse in these because they're handy on the road. I prefer glass because it is an astringent. So if it's in plastic, it's going to be kind of pulling the plastics out. But that's why the maple syrup. You want dark maple syrup, real maple syrup, and you want the dark has more minerals in it. And it is conductive by itself. I've done tests on it. So the lemon is conductive, the maple syrup is conductive, and the water is the vehicle that allows it to come into the body in a pre-digested form. And that is what cleans and feeds the body. So don't be afraid of the maple syrup, but it's always to taste because we have different levels of needs for our sugar content. And because of that, our taste buds are keyed into a certain amount of sugar. People that are constantly eating candy bars and cookies and all this thing, they're actually after the sugar, but that sugar is dead sugar, and it will lower your energy where the maple syrup will increase it. Okay, I'm going to stop right there.
I had a couple questions on that actually. Katie, unless you wanted to ask some questions on that topic still first.
Oh no, let's keep going. Sarah, you ask your questions because you might have the same questions because as I was listening, I came up with another question. So
Yes.
please go ahead. That'll be great. Thanks, Sarah.
Okay. Well, a few years ago, I remember when I started the orange juice, and I think this was back when you would have been doing the show with with Justin, Tony, before I came into the picture. But when I started the orange juice, I couldn't get enough of it. Like I was just like I couldn't sip it. I was like I had to just chug it. Like I could drink the whole 32 ounces within an hour, if that, maybe even a half an hour. And Justin was like, "Well, you have to like kind of sip and stuff like that." Was that the point of it? And why was I needing to drink that so fast like that?
You needed to drink it so fast because your cells were actually being fed and being hydrated. And they were like, finally, I have something I can work with, right? And it's like, give it to me, give it to me. But it's controlling that. But your body was so thirsty and so hungry for real liquid that's why it was just like begging you to drive it in, and you can do that to a certain extent, but you have to be careful. And with oranges, they have to be, as far as I'm concerned, really tree ripened.
Okay. I couldn't guarantee that they were, but we used to buy them by the cases, and we'd have like 88 oranges in each case.
Right.
And I mean, we'd go through, my mom, my husband, my son, and myself, we'd go through like 4 boxes of those a week.
Yeah, see, and you know that they were ripe because they're sweet and they have a lot of juice.
Yes, they did. And they were,
I mean, I
so
remember
good.
when I was a kid, you'd peel an orange and the juice would be running right off your hand, right down your arms.
Yep.
And they're not like that anymore. No food is like that because they're picked early.
Yes. And about the lemon water with the maple syrup in it too, is the maple syrup, it's basically the sugar for our brain, the glucose.
Yes, that's what it is. It's glucose. It feeds the whole body on a cellular level.
Yeah.
And because you're not eating other things, that little bit of maple syrup, because I can't even tell you how many people have said, "Oh my God, I can't have the sugar. The sugar is bad. Sugar is this."
hate when
There's
people
sugar in everything. I mean, the food is so bad right now, they have to lace it with sugar just so you'll eat it. And stay away from fruit and stay away from nightshades and stay away from this and stay away from that. But synthetic foods and meds, boy, they're the greatest.
Oh, and eggs and meat and your cheeses and your yogurts. Oh,
yeah.
That's all I hear all the time. And I'm just like, okay, you're not ready to talk yet.
Right. And that's the whole thing, is for us not to, it's not our journey.
So all we can really do, and I know that I think we touched on this last time too, like when I think this was on Charlie and Colleen's show, people in the comments just kept asking like, how do I change people? How do I do that? How do I, you know, get my husband to start eating this or doing that? You don't. And
Don't.
it is not up to you to force anyone to ever do that. Everyone here has free will. And all you're going to do is cause arguments and, fights within your families and your friends. Just lead by example. I'm telling
Yep.
you, the more you do this, the lighter your bright is going to, the brighter your light is going to shine. And
Yeah.
people are going to want to know, what the heck are you doing? And how do you have this much energy? And then, you tell them, but lead by example. That's all you can do. Shine your light. My next thing I wanted to tell you last week, Gary and we ran out of, we didn't get to it, but I started because I do not like to drink water. I still to this day struggle to drink water,
Mm.
even though I know I have to have it. I found somebody made, they take water with a little bit of ice because they're making lemonade basically. And they take a half of crap, I'm on oranges. They take half of a lemon and then they take, I think it was a half a cup of blueberries, wild frozen blueberries.
Mhm.
Now she cooked them in maple syrup, like heated them up to kind of make what do they call it, a compote or something like that.
Yep.
It would be like what you'd put on pancakes, that kind of like a texture.
Mhm.
But and then she pours 2 tablespoons of that into her lemon and her water and her ice, and then stirs it up, and now you have blueberry lemonade that's sweetened with maple syrup. And I was like, holy crap, I could probably do that. So I just, instead of using the ice, I have frozen blueberries. So I just,
Mhm.
muddled up my blueberries, added a little splash of maple syrup in there, and then, to sweeten it to my taste with lemon and water, and then stirred it up. It's amazing.
I
Like
love it.
I can drink it. And so I know it's not the master cleanse, but it's a way to get more liquid and water into me. So because if it's
Absolutely.
not really juice, I'm not wanting to drink water all day.
True. And water is not conductive. Now you do have minerals.
Yeah.
So it is our mineral uh diversity is not where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if we need 90 or 91 essential minerals every day to keep our body healthy, well, we're not getting those because it's not in the food anymore. And they're stripping the food down more and more as we go along, and they're adding, and I've mentioned this in other videos, and who knows, it may be more now, but as of a few months ago, there were 262 different names for artificial sugar. So when you go up to a label, if you don't know all 262 names, sugar might be the first ingredient, might be the second ingredient, and then there are other types of sugar or other names for sugars down through the label. So it's almost all sugar, and you don't even know that you're eating tons of sugar. So when you do the cleanse or like that blueberry maple syrup, and we're here to be explorers. So when I hear about a new recipe, I'm excited because blueberries are really good for you, the water is excellent for you, and the maple syrup is excellent for you. And you could do that like 16, 32 ounces of that a day
Mm-hmm.
and eat.
Yeah, that's
But
really
if
good.
you
And don't
can,
forget the lemon, half a lemon.
yeah, oh, and half a lemon, yeah, because the
Mm-hmm.
lemon is the real key to that.
Yeah.
Uh, as far as I'm concerned, the blueberries are anti-inflammatory and excellent for you too. So that's a win-win situation. Uh, so
Yeah, I'm
it,
happy I found because I struggle so much with that.
yeah, yeah, and everything we should do should be. It tastes so good and it's conductive that we can't stop using it. I mean, I'm using the Master Cleanse for 26 years.
Yeah.
And I love it just as much today as I did when I first started.
Do you salivate while you make it?
Well, that's a good question because I'm focused on making it. I made it for the group at Spirit Camp yesterday because we do qigong every day.
Yeah.
Qigong work, and one of the guys I've been working with now for 4 weeks, I think. He's been in total body pain for 9 years. Zero, nada, nothing. No pain in his body at all.
Wow. That is amazing.
And
That's the kind of stuff we, want to hear.
absolutely. And I could probably talk him into doing a little, well, he's going to do a testimonial.
Oh, nice.
And, but, well, I'll talk to Tony about that
Yeah,
later because maybe I can get him on the show.
that's
He's quite
cool.
the talker.
We
But
love hearing that kind of stuff.
oh yeah, he it's amazing. I mean, he is a totally different person.
That's awesome. And the other thing I wanted to touch on about that was when you first said it too, like the people who drink that lemon water and then they have to run to the bathroom so quickly
Right.
is can you repeat that again? Because that was something new that I, was learning. They have malabsorption. It's not going
Yes.
interstitial, or how's that?
Yeah. So what's happening is the acids are stuck in the body, right? And a cell can't move. So it's sitting in mucus because it builds mucus around it to keep the acids from burning the cell. And it it can be so overwhelmed, but the thicker that mucus gets and the longer it's been there, it gets it doesn't harden, but it gets rubbery, I guess I would say. It's kind of like calcified pineal gland. It's not hard. It's it's a it's a soft structure, but the the blood can't get through to feed the cell. That's what malabsorption is. And the less it gets, the sicker it gets until it becomes something that is so painful that we end up going to the doctor. And of course, they won't talk about the lymph and they just watch it. Well, it's going to get worse because you haven't changed your diet. They're not telling you that you need more liquids. So that's the bottom line of malabsorption is the lymph and the blood cannot get in to feed and clean the cell. And it's sitting in its own urine. And so it's like taking a baby that goes to the bathroom in its diaper, right? And it gets a diaper rash. Well, that's what's happening to your cell. It's like diaper rash. It's getting burned, and the burn is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and the cell can't communicate anymore. So it thinks it's the only thing left, and it's reproducing at a rapid rate, but it's sick. So what it's reproducing is sick, and we call those tumors or cysts or boils or pimples or whatever. And they're just different. They're all the same thing. They're just on different layers in the tissue of the body in the lymphatic system. So when we're sipping the master cleanse or that blueberry drink, anything like that, any live liquid, right? It goes in and it starts to dissolve that mucus and it opens up that interstitial pathway so that the lymph can take it to a lymph node. And when it comes out of there, it's like a 3 pH, which is really hot because your skin is about 6. So it goes into the lymph nodes, and as it goes through the lymph nodes going out to one of the channels of elimination, it alkalizes it. This is what your digestive system does. It's an alkalizing thing. It goes up the ascending to the transverse to the descending, and it's because when it comes out of the stomach, it's really hot and it acidic. So it comes up and it goes across and it's alkalizing it and it's pulling nutrients out of it too. So if you have a lot of mucus in your intestinal tract, you're missing a lot of your nutrition. So as you clean that out, more can be absorbed. And when more is absorbed into the body starts to heal.
That's
And
excellent to hear. And anyone that's listening or whatever, I mean, take notes. I mean, I really don't know if everybody realizes how important that is to know, because almost everybody is like that in one way or another. And we all need to start with sipping our lemon water, our blueberry lemon water, the master cleanse, like Gary said, whatever live water there is. But that is so important. I mean, there's so many people that they can't drink water, they can't do this, and or they live on just coffee because coffee doesn't make them go to the bathroom, like, urinate so much because, it's dehydrating you even more. Then you
Right.
live in the winter weathers and it's just sucking every bit of liquid out of you. And dehydration is one of the worst things that we can be dealing with because it's too hard to get your body rehydrated if you're not following these steps. So this is all very important. Everything we talk about is important, but there's certain highlights that like that's what really kicks stuff off for you. That's what really kicks off your journey.
Yeah, think about this. When I was a kid, probably all of us when we were kids, they took the cell. I think it was either I think it was a sheep. They took a cell from that sheep and put it in a test tube, and they grew an identical sheep from that cell, an identical sheep to that one that's alive, and this one is alive. So if they can take a cell from an animal or anything that's either an animal or we're animals, but let's say human, right? And they put that in a test tube. If they can create an environment where that thing excels to the point where it grows a whole new being, and they can't tell us what's wrong with our cells, somebody's lying to us. So that's where I'll end up right there.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And great question, Katie.
Okay, so then
Judy,
another question that I have about the lemon fast, since we were talking about it, is then what's the cayenne I know we've talked about cayenne pepper before, but why do we put it in our lemon water with the maple syrup?
to help circulation.
Ah,
I don't put it in because I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. And what I've been doing is I make a cup of Cleaver's tea, and I might put something else in it, like marshmallow leaf or maybe a echinacea, because that's more about a virus load. Uh, and then I let it cool, and I use that as a liquid in my master cleanse, because the Cleavers opens up the lymphatic pathways. So then you've got the lemons, you've got the Cleavers, you've got pinch of Himalayan Celtic or blue salt, blue Baja salt, if you want to use salt, and the maple syrup. I mean, these liquids are so important for the body because they take the pressure off the pancreas and the adrenals. So when you take the pressure off the pancreas and the adrenals, they get to rest. They work all the time, especially the adrenals. And they need energy. They need energy so they can function. You know, when you go into fight or flight, it's like you were driving your car and you kicked it into passing gear to pass another car or something. Well, the same thing's going on with your adrenals. When you start to jog or you start to run or you're stuck in fight or flight because you're afraid for your life, you know, whether to run, hide, fight, or freeze, and that's a personal thing that happens to each person depending on how they think. Okay, we're actually overtaxing our adrenals, and they get weak over time because they're not getting the hydration, nutrition, and oxygen they need. They're not getting any rest. Your whole mental thought pattern is interrupted, and you can't have critical thinking. Your heart rate changes, you're shallow breathing, so you're not getting the things in your lungs, and toxins are building in the bottom. And your digestive system is off because the blood is in the limbs because you need to fight, run, hide, or freeze. So when we do a breath, this is why breathing is so important. When we inhale through the nose, we create nitric oxide. And we exhale through the mouth, we're eliminating toxins. 70% of our detox is our breath. And when we exhale longer through the mouth, longer than we inhaled, we're turning on the vagus nerve, the parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and heal. And what that does is it pulls the blood from the limbs back into the core so that you can have critical thinking and your heart and your lungs balance and your digestive system starts functioning properly again. And a big thing of what we're doing with the cleanse or the blueberry drink or fruit uh, like a fruit juice or a fruit smoothie, even a vegetable juice or smoothie, okay? They're letting the whole digestive system, they're giving it a rest. And in that rest, we have more energy. And that energy is rebuilding our whole system. And it does it. All we have to do is give it what it needs. When we try to micromanage our body, oh, I've got this over here. I think, what is this thing? Oh my God. And then we start worrying about all this stuff. It puts us in fight or flight. And it's because we're doing the things when the body's expressing itself and it's trying to communicate with you, it pushes everything to the skin so you can see it. We've forgotten. We've forgotten how to look at that and know what to do to correct it. We have to go to a dermatologist or a optometrist or a whatever it is, right? Some doctor, some whatever. And if we just would hydrate, learn to move slower, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and balance ourselves out with our breath, because the breath will actually balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And the brain is physical. The mind is quantum. And the mind is what thoughts come from. And so our words are quantum energy, and it's reflecting back on us. So if we say, I'm a healing machine, and my body heals itself every day simply by the things that I do to help it, like live liquids, it's going to regenerate itself. But if you say, my body's breaking down every day and I just get this and I've got this thing over here and I've got that over there, and you worry about that, you're putting yourself in fight or flight, and you're actually lowering your energy. And the lower it goes, the more susceptible you are to dis-ease in the body. You know, cancer isn't floating around and you breathe it in. You don't catch it from somebody. It's an inside job. Well, to me, all dis-ease is an inside job. And when we learn how to clean and breathe, it can't exist. It can't exist in an alkaline body. No dis-ease. You know, an energy doesn't know two things. It doesn't know age, and it doesn't know dis-ease. Age is known to us through lack of energy and lack of hydration, nutrition, oxygen. We're moving too fast. We're not slowing down. We're not resting. Our mind is in a constant state. Not everybody, but it's in a constant state of, where am I going to get attacked from next? What's going on? Oh my God, you know? And if you're in that, you're in fight or flight, and the whole core of your body is suffering because of that. So I'll stop right there. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Gary, so much, and giving us that background knowledge. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
You know, and then that perfectly led into my next question is, you have taught me about opening our lymphatic gates, and I absolutely love it. I tell everybody to do it. I do it first thing in the morning. Well, then I was talking to my friend and I was like, gosh, I wonder if we should be doing it multiple times a day, you know, kind of keep that active. And so what do you recommend? Do you just do it right one time a day, or do you do it throughout the day?
Um, Now, this is a really important thing, and I'm going to start adding this into my videos. So I've had one person, your mental capacity to allow yourself to heal is extremely important. You cannot micromanage your body. I'm going to force my body to get well. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And if it takes opening the gates 55 times a day, that's what I'm going to do. Well, you have to be careful, because it's like doing a cleanse, and you're breaking more toxins loose than your body can eliminate through the channels of elimination. And because of that, it starts to back up and it causes cold and flu-like symptoms. Well, the same thing can happen when you're opening the gates. So if you were going to do this you really have to pay attention to your body, because the toxins are dangerous. That's why they're being stuffed in different places in the body. Okay. But it's all in the lymph, all inflammation, all cancers, everything. They're all in the lymph. That's why they won't talk about it. The lymph is their friend. They just watch it. And as we're moving through life, and we're not doing, we're being our healthy self, and we realize that, like cold and flu and fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's and Parkinson's and MS and cancer, these are frequencies that they gave a name, and we get stuck on the name because we don't know it's a frequency. And because there's a name there and we're afraid of it, we instantly go into fight or flight. And it lowers our energy even more. And then what they're doing lowers it even more. And for the electromagnetic field to stick to your cell through the mitochondria, the weaker they get, the less energy you have in your body. That's why when you go in a hospital and you go to visit somebody and they're truly sick, they have no energy. They're not breathing properly. They're not being hydrated properly. They're not moving. They're just laying in bed. And I've been over this 100 times. That puffer thing that they use, and I don't know if you blow into it or suck on it, but there are balls in there that you watch, right? And they're telling you, okay, we're going to give you this med, and we're going to try to keep you alive for this long, and all this stuff. This is all lowering your energy. So if you go below the energy that is the C word, and you're lowering down, the energy cannot stick to the cells. And it gets to a point where the energy goes back to source and the body stays here because there wasn't enough magnetic draw in the cell to hold the energy there. And as you're breathing and hydrating and slow moving, and you're focused, your intention and your breath is the frequency of health. So how do we know what the frequency of health is? When we're breathing in and our attention is to help our body regenerate itself, because if it can degenerate, it can regenerate. And we do that through our breath, and it's in through the nose. And all energy enters the body through the nose with air, and through the digestive system with, should be, live fruits, berries, melons, even veggies. And we will thrive. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of us figuring this out, because the higher our energy goes, the more awake we are, the more critical thinking we have, and we see the bull crap that's being projected on us, told to us as truth, and it's not truth. So I'll leave it there.
Oh my gosh. So that just opened up a can of worms that we will not discuss right now because I have other questions. But, that's something that I think would be interesting to look at is like, I love what you just said, projection. Like, how do you stop things from being projected to you? But I don't have a question on that right now because I've got other questions that people have asked before that we should get to. But thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate that. Okay. One thing that I did not know, that I was reading my Dr. Morse book, and in there it says that blueberries are considered acidic, and that the best time to eat the blueberries is in the winter because winter is alkaline. And then that just opened up a whole new, deeper understanding of foods and the seasons, because summer is considered acidic. So then we eat more alkaline foods, and then winter is alkaline. So then we eat more acidic foods. And so, but see, I know right now that my body is very acidic because I have those symptoms that we all experience. So does this play an important role in our healing journey? And as we heal, is it important to eat, the opposite foods per season? Or does it just not matter? Just eat your foods.
To me, it's important to eat seasonally,
Mhm.
locally, seasonally, not locally from Mexico or the Ukraine or wherever. You know, you pick a country. I'm sure there's something that comes here from there. Uh, you're. This is something that I've explained in things, but I think it'd be good to review it now. Nature is always seeking balance, and we are balance. We're nature, right? And when we're out of balance, our body is a tuning fork. And through sound, we can cause vibration in the body that shakes the cells and it gets rid of congestions and it'll get rid of scar tissue. And the master cleanse will do that. That blueberry drink you're talking about will do that. The fruit juice will do that. The vegetable juices will do that, but it doesn't have the energy that the fruits, berries, and melons do. So the people that I grew up with, I grew up around farms. They would uh, fast in the spring. These are the farmers. They would, uh, and then they would again in the fall before winter, because they would feast from their crops. And then, of course, they would preserve and save things, but then they would fast going into winter because everything is going to sleep. So it's eating less in the winter. And the reason that there is acidic and alkaline food is so that you can maintain the balance for your body, not my body, nobody else's body, just yours. That's why it's so important to listen to your body. If you're eating too much acidic food, it's going to show up. If you're eating too much alkaline food, because you can be over alkaline too. And it's not good. If you're over alkaline, it's not good. You need to maintain that basically 4.7, 4.364, or whatever it is, right? There's not much pH balance difference there, and pH just means electrical charge. And that's an umbrella. Everything in the body has kind of its own pH level. Like your skin is 5.5 to 6. And that's why rainwater won't burn you. So to understand our body and how it is reacting to the food we're eating, we're all in a chronic state. Well, not all, about 70% supposedly of our bodies are in a chronic state of lymphatic congestion or chronic disease, according to science, or chronic dis-ease as far as I'm concerned, because it's a frequency. And how do you change a frequency in the body? Breath, hydration. That's how you change frequency in the body. We got to get rid of these names and get them out of our, we have them in our head, but we understand cancer is a frequency. MS is a frequency. Parkinson's is a frequency. Okay? All these things are frequencies. And when we are breathing and hydrating properly, and we're mixing in acidic foods with alkaline foods, we are balancing, hopefully, at a divine energy level of health. You know you're healthy when you don't feel your body. It's just a vehicle to move you around. And you are not your body, you're the energy within your body. And when the energy is off, you are off. So did I answer that the way you wanted? Or not the way you wanted, but
No, you did. You answered that perfectly. And that's the thing. All of this is about becoming in balance. Right now, we're out of balance and we need to get back into balance.
right.
So, and that just makes so much sense to me because that's what the seasons are.
Right.
They're in balance. When you look at nature, and I always say you always know the truth when you just observe nature. It's so
Yes.
anyways, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So since we were talking about winter,
Yeah.
I'm wondering why is it that in some seasons I know different symptoms, I notice them, and they go away in other seasons? For example, why in the winter do I notice that my hands and feet get colder easier? Or why in the winter does I call it the winter eczema, why does that come out? Why doesn't that just come out all the time?
I can start and then Gary
Yeah.
can jump in, or Toni. So I used to suffer from the winter eczema as well too on my hands, and I always chalked it up to I work outside throughout the winter with the horses and stuff. I would get it every year on my knuckles, like the knuckle part that goes to where your hand is, and my skin would literally just split open and bleed, and it's very painful. And I'd even get it around like where my fingernail beds were too, and they just crack open and bleed, and it hurts. So that was back when what I just was talking about, the orange juice, and we did all that orange juice. So I assume I was literally dehydrated on a cellular level. And then come winter, and winter will then suck the rest of the moisture out of your skin.
Mhm.
And so for it was taking me even further into dehydration every winter. I didn't have the humidity of summer and stuff like that to help, just maintain that little bit of moisture I had in my body. So when winter comes along, it just literally takes the rest of it out of you.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Agreed. And the other thing is, it's cold, so the circulation in your hands is less, and the stress level from the cold. So when we have that stress level in the body, because most eczema is a stress issue, but then when you add the cold of winter, the dehydration, because there's not a lot of moisture in the winter, uh, in the air. It's usually laying on the ground and it looks like snow. So, and that's that there's not moisture in the air. There's not enough, and the wind blowing across your knuckles is causing a lot of stress to the skin. So that I think that I think that's right. It's lack of hydration, stress levels, and being out in the cold with your hands bare. Because if you're working, you know, I don't like to wear gloves when I work. They get caught on things. They do protect your hands. I understand that, but uh, I like to feel if I'm gonna get some hay for the horse or something like that, or one of the animals. I want to feel that hay. Uh, but that would be my thing: stress and dehydration, the cold because it's cutting the circulation down in your hands, and I don't know. I think that would be it. Hydrate.
Yeah, it is definitely hydration because I don't have it anymore, and I have never changed anything. Like I have the same gloves I've had probably
Yeah.
since I don't know 2005. So in other words, I wear them all the time,
Yeah.
and I actually do not like to touch the hay with my bare hand in the winter for some reason. I have no idea why. I don't know. Sometimes like it cuts my hands, like the little
Oh,
spiky
yeah.
stuff too. But
Oh, yeah.
the summertime is not so bad for some. Maybe the hay is softer, but this was the last cut of the year. But and then we're always carrying buckets, so the metal on your hands is really
Yes.
freezing. So yeah, I definitely always wear gloves.
Yeah.
But it's the hydration because I don't have it anymore. And what's even more funny about this is that I have not been on an orange juice. I didn't do orange juice last year, and I haven't done orange juice this year like I did 2 years ago. Um, like I said, everything got so expensive, so we kind of had to stop. But my body has been able to recover from that and maintain even in the years coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like that's how amazing our body is, and people they don't really put that much into what God did for us when he made this body. Like he knows everything and he made it perfectly for you. So even all the poisons you're putting in it, all the poisons you're exposed to and everything, your body is able to heal and withstand, and it does it itself. It's not always what you're putting in, it's what you're taking out. So take
Mm-hmm.
out the crap, leave the good and leave the rest up to God. And it happens. Like, it really does. So I love it because I love not being in pain. And I'm so happy my hands are not bleedy and hurting the last 2 years. And like I feel alive in the winter. Like when it's cold and it's windy, like it's cold, don't get me wrong. And yes, I am dressed for it too, but I don't know. There's just like something there. Like when you're inhaling it, you're there, like you're alive in the winter.
Oh,
You
yeah.
feel everything.
But the other thing is the earth is asleep in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So our bodies, that's when things go into hibernation. And so it's less eating and give our body a rest, just like the land, because we are the land. Um, so that's really important. The other thing is if you go outside, nature is always seeking balance. You go outside in your bare feet, the herbs that you need to heal your body will start growing on the land that you're walking on in your bare feet. And I find that to be amazing. I found it to be amazing because I watched it happen.
Yeah, it is.
And
And so most of us need dandelions, I can tell you that right now.
yeah, dandelion, plantain,
Mm-hmm.
uh, cayenne pepper will stop internal bleeding. Uh, they'll help
Mullein. Yeah, mullein grows everywhere.
Yes, mullein.
Mm-hmm.
Mullein is specifically for the lungs. It does. Every herb does a whole array of things. So the two strongest I've found, echinacea and dandelion. Uh, those cover everything, like kidneys, liver. Echinacea is more of a stabilizer of bacteria, and it will help eliminate viruses. And I mean, it's an amazing herb. And you can grow it in your yard. It's a beautiful flower with purple petals and a brown center, like what is it, a brown-eyed Susan or a lazy? I don't know. I can't remember now. But uh, and you can use the whole plant, just like with dandelion. I don't know about the roots, but you can use some of the leaves. But what we did was we would take the blossoms and dry them and then crush them up and make tea out of them. Uh, it's delicious. And I can't even tell you how good it is for your body, but it is amazing for your body. Nature, we're living in a world of abundance, and we're taught self doubt, scarcity, and fear because we're not being taught. If they could profit off an echinacea in a hospital, like charge you $2,000 or $3,000 for a blossom, then they would do that, but they can't patent it because it's natural. So they're not doing that. And they're discrediting all this stuff to pull you mentally into their synthetic drug world. And it is drugs. It says so right on the building. Big letters. Drugs. So and everything in nature that's a natural medicine. Oh, you don't want that. That's covered with germs. Well, so anyway,
And the whole point
thanks.
is not get to where you need those drugs. You want to maintain your body so
Right.
that way when it happens. But don't get confused with, the symptoms of detox, though. Detox comes out as symptoms as flu and cold and cough and mucus and stuff like that. I mean, you don't always want to stop that. Just like, sometimes you don't want to stop diarrhea if you have eaten something. You want to let it come out first. Now, if it
Right.
continues, then obviously, you don't want to go into dehydration. But at the same time, like you have to let the symptoms come out. And every
Mhm.
time at school, they're like, if my little boy is sick or something like that, they're like, oh, did you go to the doctor? Did you get an antibiotic? I'm like, well, I'm not going into all that with you all here at school, but it has to run its course. Like, let it run its course for a minute. Let your body do something. And
Mhm.
then if your body is not handling it, then start to, see something from there. But that's one of my biggest pet peeves. As soon as a cough, did you go to the doctor? I'm like, why? But that's a whole nother set thing. We do have a question in the chat that goes back to the lemon water. So if Elena, we've had her on the podcast before. She's a lady from Belize, or we've been on her podcast actually too.
Mhm.
But she says she adds honey to her lemon water. Is this the same as maple syrup?
No, but it is a complete food.
Okay.
The only reason that I don't use it, or if I do recommend it, sometimes I do, if people don't want to do the maple syrup, because they're afraid of the sugar, but they'll go to honey, which is sugar. But it is a complete thing. You can live on it, and it will never spoil. But if you put honey in cold water, it will not mix. So you've got to warm your water up, but you can only warm it up to a certain point. I think it's 116 degrees before it starts to kill things in the lemon. So you can bring that up, just have it warm, and then mix it in, and it's perfectly fine. But you don't have to worry about that with maple syrup. And I don't know, I've never tested honey to see it's conductive, but I bet it is, because it's a liquid and has minerals in it, enzymes, electrolytes. So
Perfect.
I might do a video and test that.
Run an experiment. That's good.
Yep.
Yep. And maple syrup, even though it's highly processed, like our body can absorb that sugar properly. It's not like,
Yeah.
the fake sugars and stuff like that either. So, especially Lena's in Canada right now. So definitely Canada's full of maple syrup at this time.
Yes.
Probably every time of the year they're full of it. But
Yeah. Birch trees give off a syrup too that is super light and really tasty.
Nice.
Okay, thanks you guys for talking about so many wonderful things there. And then you know that when I was asking about winter and the dry skin and things, you
Mhm.
know, the dehydration makes so much sense. And Sarah, what you said, how throughout the year you're dehydrated on the cellular level, but then when winter comes, because winter is so dry, it's just sucking more of that hydration. But even think about like when you turn the heat on in your house, that's drying out your house. Because like well, he's my ex-husband, but we still live together. He put a space heater in one of the rooms, and then all of a sudden my skin started getting itchy, and then my lips started hurting because they were so dry. And I was like, turn that off. Anyways, that's another
get a
story in
yeah,
itself.
and get a humidifier. I mean, as we've learned from Daniel Roytos, that the humidity plays such a huge role in our health. Like we have to have humidity. And not that I want to go off on this tangent at all, but I don't even know if we're supposed to have winter. Like, has everything been so messed up in this world that, because we're not, I mean, our body is not made for winter unless we have external items. So, I mean, like, should we even have winters? That's like a whole nother thought process behind it. But we're made for humidity and warm weather, and we're supposed to eat fruits, and, if you want to go back to like real stuff, like, we shouldn't even have coats or shoes or anything like that. So we need to live in warmer climates. So the humidity really does play a huge role in that too. So definitely have humidifiers and stuff like that in the winter, and just watch the humidity levels in your home. And it is very important. I don't care how cold it is. You have to open up your windows in your home like every day if you can. Let some fresh air in, and then close it on up again. And I do not like whole house humidifiers. The mold and all that stuff like that, it freaks me out. That then you could be sitting there breathing mold spores, your whole family, and not even really realize it until you go in there and open up this, whole system. So individuals best.
This is my problem with sheetrock. You get water on sheetrock, it can be behind it. And black mold will grow like crazy. It loves that paper and the sheetrock is chalk basically, and or it's chalk-like, right? So it loves moisture. It just goes right through it, and that's why they have that green stuff that goes in your shower, because it's more waterproof. But the backside, I don't believe is. And when the water, if it does happen to get it or run down the back of like where your shower is at the top, or even your faucet down by the tub, if that starts to leak in the back, you're not going to know it, and it's going to start growing mold. And that's a major issue. Our bodies do not like mold.
On the topic of mold, isn't mold the what do they call that in our food? ascorbic acid, or I
Hmm.
can't remember what it's called on the food label, but is it the ascorbic acid, or I don't know? I'll look it up. But
I think
that's
ascorbic acid, isn't that
yeah.
vitamin C?
Well, that's what they say, but they get it from growing the mold.
Huh.
So yeah, it's like I don't know.
Well,
That's a whole
penicillin.
nother. Yeah, well,
Penicillin.
penicillin is mold. Yeah,
Yeah, that comes from mold.
yeah. I mean,
That's
you just
why I always
can't.
like moldy
Oh,
bread.
they say that you can't eat at everybody's house, and I guess you can't trust everybody to grow the ascorbic acid properly either. So just be aware of that too. And sheetrock is drywall, is what it really is. Is what like a more
Right.
common name in case people were unaware.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's one of the biggest issues that I have, and there has in today's world there has to be an alternative to that. Whether they seal it in, I don't know. I hate to use the word plastic, but something that's waterproof.
Mm-hmm.
Something that will deter mold from growing on it. And I'm sure they could do something to coat the sheetrock so that that wouldn't happen, but it'd have to be sealed pretty tight. Um, but anyway, let's move on because
Okay. Well, and I was going to say, when I saw a naturopathic doctor like 20, 30 years ago, he
yeah,
told me that anytime your walls get wet, the sheetrock,
yeah,
you cut that out and you remove it right away. You don't even mess with it because of the mold. And then another thing that we've never talked about here, that I'll just share that he shared also with me. Okay, I don't ever take my clothes to the dry cleaners because I now don't own clothes that need dry cleaning. But for those of you who are listening to this podcast, if you do get your clothes dry cleaned, remove the plastic bag that the dry cleaning puts over your clothes, and then hang your clothes outside for a couple of weeks to get those chemicals off of your clothes before you bring them into your house. So that's something to consider, and hopefully dry cleaning will go away. So anyways, okay, now my next question is, and I can't remember if I've already asked this one. Somebody asked me this a couple weeks ago, and so I feel like I asked Toni about this. Um, but then I'm like, well, maybe I did bring it up. But the question was about dry brushing and which direction do we brush when we're doing it? Because there's a lot of images online that say you dry brush to your heart, but I think I've heard that that's not what we're supposed to do. So could you guys please help clarify, how do we dry brush our skin? Does the direction matter?
well, yeah, the direction would matter because every, like your circulatory system has a direction it flows in. Your digestive system has a direction it flows in normally or naturally. Well, the same would be true for that. Uh, Now, there are two schools of thought for lymphatic drainage. I lean more towards Dr. Morse, but other people I have great respect for that are lymph people say that it all drains to the heart. And I'm like, how can that be possible? Because your blood has to be a certain pH, and everything that's coming through is, we'll say it's a 6 pH. When it finally comes through and it's being, they're saying that the lymph goes into the heart, and that's why they want you doing it towards the heart, towards the core of the body. Well, to me, you do it towards the core of the body. You start here and you go this way, right? And your feet up, because this is gate one, and this is where all lymphatic has to go to. So at night, if I probably covered that when we were talking about the lymphatic gates, but in the morning before you go out, you could do a quick 6 lymphatic gates, spinal gate, and do 3 lion's breaths. And if you don't have time to do qigong, just do that. Just do those things: the opening the gates, the spinal, and the breath, the lion's breath, to clean the lungs out. Then you're ready to go out and meet the day. Um, So let the lymph flow the way the lymph flows. You open these gates and you're moving and you're breathing and using that diaphragm in your nose. You shouldn't really have to think about moving it by gua sha, but gua sha is uh, the thing. And like when we're opening gate 3, which is under the arm here, it's right where the shoulder rolls into the chest plate and under here. If this backs up, it backs up in the house, and that's breast cancer and bone cancer and lung cancer. And okay, it doesn't just come up to the top; it infiltrates all the way through. Uh, so we always press like this between the ribs if we can, and push that out once these gates are open. Now, from the feet to here is against gravity. From the second gate, which is right behind the earlobe, down to this gate is gravity fed. And out of the 13 channels of elimination, 7 of them are in our head. So there's a lot of toxins that have to come from here, and that's why it's gravity fed. If you open the gates at night before you lay down, then that will make sure that the gates are open so that it can come up through and get to this gate to go out through the 13 channels of elimination. And I don't know if I've ever done that, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 8, 9, 10, front door 11, back door 12. And the most important one that controls all of it is this right here. If your head's not in the right place, it's going to congest your body, and you're not going to know what to do, because chances are you're in fight or flight and you can't get into critical thinking. So the best thing to do when you first start is to open these gates in the morning and do the lion's breath so that you're ready to go out and go through the day, just your body movement. You're doing that. You're moving lymph and blood. Okay, they move together. So if there's no lymph getting in to clean the cell, there's no blood getting in to feed it and hydrate it and oxygenate it. So if you're going to do it, I would say first thing in the morning and just before you go to bed at night. And then when you lay down, you know those gates are open so that can flow from your feet all the way up through to get into this gate. But that's where it changes. Dr. Morse says the lymph goes down and it goes to the kidneys, and other lymphatic doctors, which is the majority, say it goes to the heart and has to go through the heart to go down to the kidneys. I have a real hard time with that because, like I said, your blood pH cannot change that much. So I go with Dr. Morse on that way before it goes into your heart. I have no proof that it doesn't, but it's 2 separate systems in the body. We know that as a fact. Even science says that. It's 2 separate systems. And to me, they may travel together. And I think the blood goes into the lymph and it goes down to the kidneys. But I have no proof of that. But that is what I would say, because you cannot change the pH of the blood without causing issues. And if you dump a 6 pH into a 7.4, that's a lot of change. That's a lot of change. It's electrical. I said that before. pH is an electrical charge. And if you dump a 6 pH into a 7.4, you're going to lower the frequency. You're going to lower your energy. So that's the only reason I disagree with that. And I know I want to try and get a hold of certain people that I watch and ask them about that and see if it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. And it's not even something that we actually need to know. We need to help the body and let it do its job. We get in there and micromanage, and we're trying to move this around and that around and trying to force it to do something. It's not going to do it. The body's like trying to herd cats. You just feed it what it needs, and you let the body do the rest, because the body knows exactly what to do. And through our incredible wisdom, we're in there trying to micromanage it with pills and all these different things that are not from nature. Nature gives us what we need to keep our body balanced and healthy. So I'll leave it right there. Hope I answered your question.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you did. I was having a hard time unmuting myself. Toni, did you want to say anything?
Well, we did talk about it before, and I mentioned there is a video on how to correctly do the dry brushing on my channel, and it's under the playlist Dr. Morse.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Somebody has been asking me lots of questions because I think they have to have a root canal, and so they're trying to not have a root canal. And so I got a couple of more questions about that. They heard that swishing wheatgrass can help heal a tooth. Have you ever experienced, or what do you know about swishing wheatgrass in order to prevent a root canal? And then, if that's not the answer, what do you recommend somebody doing that the root canal is being suggested?
Yeah, personally, when it comes to that, you have to go to the cause, what is going on, and I think I would fast until the problem resolves. Dr. Moore suggests when that is no longer an option, you have it removed.
Yes.
Okay, that's good that you said that, Toni, because that was another thing that came last night, wondering if instead of doing the root canal, should the tooth just get removed completely? And I was like, well, I think you should try to heal it until you can no longer heal it, until it's just like, you know what, just pull it.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about the wheatgrass. I have not looked into that. If it helps, it helps, you know. It may. What do you know about it, Gary?
I know that even pulling a tooth, they have to make sure that there's a little piece left in the bottom. Okay. Even if they pull a tooth, there's a piece left in the bottom that can
regenerate?
it can cause issues like abscesses and things like that. And very few doctors will go in and clean that out. They shoot in a bunch of like an antibiotic. But dentists are the only ones that believe that you can have something dead in the body and be okay. And you cannot. If there's a tool left behind when they do surgery or a sponge or anything, if there's anything dead in the body will cause inflammation there. And because it's trying to eliminate it, the body pushes everything out it doesn't need. That's why it shows up on our skin. Okay? Our skin is like it's like a sounding board. If there's something going on inside the body, it will push like a rash to the outside. And our teeth are connected to our organs and glands electrically. And they drain down here under your jawbone. Okay? And if they get full, now people are going to have to really be careful with this. Okay? We start by pushing from the chin right here in the center and just gently push back. And that goes back to gate 2. And then gate 2 goes down to gate 1. This is a channel, though. It's not a gate. Okay? And underneath there, if you have any sore spots, those are pockets that acids are starting to build up from coming from your teeth. Okay? So we do both sides. We have to make sure gate 1 and 2 are open. And that's how we keep our teeth healthy. When this builds up, plaque, bad bacteria, cavities, the plaque is there to keep the acids from attacking your teeth. And, you know, I had massive plaque on my teeth when I was young. And I said to one of the doctors that was working on my mouth one time cleaning plaque, my mouth feels so hot all the time. Yeah, well, it was full of acid. That's why my gums were puffy and bleeding, and I had a couple of loose teeth. And I couldn't even touch this area down here, but I didn't know what it was. But that's a channel that drains your teeth over into the lymphatic pathways. And I had to find out from from a doctor who's a chiropractor, not a dentist, a chiropractor. But our teeth drain here. People that, well, we'll get into that later, maybe. But you cannot have anything in your body that's dead. And a root canal tooth is dead. And if you're having trouble with a specific tooth, you're having trouble with that organ or gland that it's connected to. That's the tell. So if you fix that organ or gland through proper hydration, nutrition, movement, rest, movement, not exercise, movement, rest, grounding to the earth, and having a great story, that tooth might heal itself. I've never experienced that, and I've had 7 root canals over my lifetime here because I didn't understand that at that time, what they actually do and do to your body, which is lower its energy because it gets abscess. That's all that stuff is from this not draining. And when you're rubbing down here, you be really super gentle because it's unbelievably painful. If there's a pocket there, it's acids and it starts to back up in the house, so it backs up back in the teeth. So I would agree with Dr. Morse, have it pulled. And these new magnetic teeth, okay, first off, you're putting magnets in your mouth, which is right under your brain, and you're drilling into the bone and putting metal in there. I have a real issue with that. Now, do they work well? I guess so. I don't know because I don't have that. But I know people that do. And I mean, they stay in, but do you really want metal and something that's dead in your body? I mean, I have metal plates in this arm and, I got it working again. Uh, and they're still in there from 1979. So if you look at it that way, you can get bone spurs, all kinds of different things. But anyway, I'll end it right there. I would pull the tooth if you cannot heal it. I guess that's what I'd say. Okay.
Yeah, well, and so like since I've been getting these questions about this tooth, I've been doing, trying to help, find some answers. There is a movie that I just watched on YouTube. I guess it was on Netflix, but it's been removed from Netflix. It's called Root Cause Movie. ROOT cause. That was an eye-opener. If you want to see the dangers of a root canal, you should watch that.
Oh, yeah.
And also when you think about how, when you cut yourself and your body heals your cut, that's what your body does with everything. When given the right amount of time and the right way to heal it. And so I just, when we're talking about root canals, it just doesn't resonate with me because number one, you're putting something dead into your body. Well, we know that death begets death, life begets life. We know that it just doesn't make sense. But if you like even our cavities, if we would just keep our bodies clean and our mouth clean, then that would be an environment where that tooth can heal itself just the way that the cut on our body heals itself. You know what I mean? That just makes sense to me. So
Well,
anyways.
aren't our teeth bone?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
They're a form of bone, yes.
So when we break a bone, when you go to the hospital and mainly they just like put it to where it can regrow itself back together. So the doctor's not the one that, like, they may set the bone to put the bone in place so that it can grow itself back together. But if your bone can grow back together and fuse itself and stuff like that, why can't our teeth grow? So, our our bodies are amazing. We just don't give
Yes.
them the time or what they truly need to repair and work on itself. Like I've said a million times, think about your body as like a factory, like a car factory, say. And if everyone in the transmission shop is down working on the engines, or let's say different so it's more, but if everyone in the transmission shop is down in the tire department, what's happening in the transmission shop? Nothing. Everything's getting backed up. Transmissions are not being made or repaired or fixed or whatever. But the tires look great. The outside looks great, but you're not doing anything on the inside. So everybody has to be at their station working in order for it all to build a car. It's the same exact thing as us. You have to allow your body to have its little areas where they can be in there cleaning, fixing, repairing, and doing what they're supposed to be doing. If they're out all in digestion, guess what? You're not building collagen. Guess what? You're not building teeth. You're not getting your blood clean that night. You're not doing any of that stuff. And if you're not opening your lymphatic gates, guess what? It's getting backed up. You're going to have to call the sewer guy soon. And then what? Then you're going to be getting rotor-rooted. And then
Yep,
so
that's right.
it literally all works that way.
Agreed.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, it is 12:20, or it's 12:20 my time, 1:20 your guys' time. Let's do one more question, and then just know that I actually have 10 more questions. I just keep coming up with them.
This is perfect.
So
Yes, I love
anyways,
it.
but we'll do one more. My question is that it has been recommended through the Dr. Morse book. There's like this chair, I guess you lay on it and then you hang upside down. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I think it's an inversion or something.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Inversion table.
yeah.
Yes. 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 I remember those when I was really little and my aunt had one. Can you tell me? I don't really understand. What is the benefit of hanging upside down? What does that do for us? Do you know? Why
Yes,
is it
yeah.
recommended?
Yep. I was just waiting for somebody else if they wanted to jump in there. So when we hang upside down, all our organs and glands, our heart and everything start to move in the opposite direction. Blood goes to the head. And a lot of people that have trouble with their hair thinning or, just thinning or losing their hair, one thing could be a parasite. The little mite lives in the root and they're urinating in the hair follicle. That's where they live. They live down inside your skin, inside your cell. And over time, that starts to kill the root system because it's not being cleaned and it's not being fed. So when we hang upside down and the blood goes up through here, it feeds the brain, it feeds the eyes, it feeds the teeth and the scalp. So those are super important things to do. Now, you cannot hang upside down for very long because there'll be so much pressure, it could actually cause issues in the long run. But you can hang upside down for 5-10 minutes. And it also helps with strengthening the nervous system. It goes into your ears too, into your eardrum, the blood, and it can help with things like vertigo. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to love to lay down on the bed and hang my head over the side of the bed. You'll see kids doing that all the time. They just naturally do it. They do things naturally anyway because nobody's told them to stop. And most of it is to help their body, but we get talked out of that as we go through life. But yeah, everything in the body, like if you're hanging upside down, especially by your feet, because they make those boots, you put them up there, got to be able to get back up. But uh, you hang upside down, your spine lengthens because your spine moves up and down. And if you're not doing that and keeping that cartilage in the circulation in your spinal column or in your elbows or your knees or wherever, okay, and that cartilage is not being fed and cleaned, it starts to shrink because the cells are dying. And as it shrinks, you get shorter because we're not doing the up and down thing. We're twisting, we're going side to side and front and back. That's 6 ways that the spine moves. Nobody ever talks about up and down. So my dad was 68 when he passed from hardening the arteries. And where does that live? Hey, it lives in the lymphatic system. He shrunk 5 inches by the time he was 68. So he was about 5'6", and he was about 5'1" when he passed. And that's all cartilage and bone density, and everything is starting to shrink. So we get shorter. When we hang upside down, we naturally stretch that back out. And as it stretches out, what's it let it in? Blood and lymph to feed and clean and regenerate all that tissue, to strengthen the bones. When we breathe in through the nose, okay, there's a whole bunch of things happening in the body. We breathe in through the nose, we're creating nitric oxide. If you hum 15 times the nitric oxide, which helps the heart, the arteries, and the veins relax so the blood can move through easier. And our arteries actually are muscles, and they're helping to move the blood through. So yeah, it's super important to hang, but upside down is the best if you can do it. And the gentlest way to do it is an inversion table. Because the other ways, like I said, if you hang upside down from those boots, they have hooks on them, they hook on a pipe. You have to be, and you stretch out like this. Well, you have to be able to curl back up to get a hold of those boots and unhook them and get down. So I think that's where I'd leave that is you're feeding your brain, your scalp. You're moving blood through your eyes and your ears and your teeth, and everything gets to move in the opposite direction because gravity is pulling down on this all the time. Okay, and if you have a parathyroid issue and you have a weak transverse colon, it all starts to slide down. And it doesn't take much for it to cause an issue. I mean, because we're not moving properly, we're not breathing properly, everything gets weak and it starts to sag, especially our tongue. So doing the tongue exercises that are in some of my videos will stop snoring. It's incredible what it'll do because your tongue is hooked to your fascia from the top of your head, tip of your toes, fingertip to fingertip. It's connected to everything, and the heart and the tongue grew at the same time. So it's important to give these all the opportunity to relax, to reposition themselves, moving left and right. But yeah, that inversion table is super important.
That's really interesting. And yeah, definitely make sure you can do a full sit up from hanging upside down to get to your toes if you're going to do those boots, because you'll just be stuck there.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
would
And
be
you don't want,
awful.
yeah. Some people I've seen they hang a rope and then they
Yeah,
climb the rope and then
that's
they
a
have
good idea. I would definitely
scratch
maybe
the
start
spine.
with your bed and then go with a table.
Yeah.
But yeah, children did that. I mean, I remember we always used to hang upside down from the monkey
Yeah.
bars, from,
Yeah.
the rings. Like we loved it. It did something
Yeah.
for us, I think. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, it feels like every time you bend over as you get older, just the blood just rushes to your head, or the
Yeah.
pressure's in your eyes, that kind of stuff. But I guarantee that has something to do with of course, dehydration, the stagnated lymph in your head, and all that other stuff. So once you get all
Yeah.
that cleaned up, hanging upside down might be a pretty good idea. But very
Yeah.
interesting.
And the veins in your head because of the gravitational pull,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not doing the things to keep those open, they get smaller. And when you hang upside down, and you only have to do it for a few seconds, the veins start to get bigger, and the blood flow to the head is a lot greater.
That's
to the brain.
awesome.
Oh, good. Then I'll have a bigger head. Ha 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 ha.
And interesting fact about me, when you were talking about in between your different vertebrae there, oh my gosh, now I can't remember what they're called. What are the little cushions called between our vertebrae?
I just call them cartilage.
Cartilage, yeah. So I used to, like, your discs and stuff like that. I used in my previous careers, I made those. So they come. I was in bone and tissue recovery, and so the femur, your femur bone, we would take the bone and then you cut it up into cubes, and it goes into hydrochloric acid for 24 hours in a little rotating machine, and then we would ship them off so that way they could cut them and use them in people's spines or backbone.
So they became spongy.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah. You'd be surprised what you could do with human bones. It's in your teeth. It's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're all basically the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going to have to adjust things a little bit, because your body's not my body. You know, you have your own chemistry. So you be the explorer who goes out and finds out what's working with your body. But the most universal is fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables. And depending on how they're raised and how they're ripened, will have a big thing about your health. And of course, master cleanse, but that's really a fruit juice because a lemon is a fruit.
And you know, the other thing I just thought about, well, we were just talking about with teeth, and then what I literally just said, we would also make what would be called cancellous, and you would take it and you cut the bone down, you make it into little kind of like French fries. And then from there, you cut it into cubes. And then from there, it goes into a coffee grinder and it becomes a powder. And then people use that in their teeth. So why are they using other bone to put in your teeth to help heal your teeth? That right there just tells me we can grow our own teeth.
Yeah, well, I believe that we can regrow anything.
Yeah, I do too. And then when our skin recovery, what we used to do is you recover the skin from the cadaver, and then it goes through a thing that makes it look like a chain link fence. And then so when we would have burn victims, when you put that on there, it looks like a chain link fence over the burn, and then their skin then grows and infuses with that other skin. So again, like, your skin is then growing and healing. Even, you know, the larger the burn, the more help you need. Or you can have your own skin as a donation too, but that's a very painful process, even though it's, you know, numbed and stuff like that. But so if you use a donor skin, you know, it's just covering that skin, but it's allowing your skin to interweave, kind of like a trellis, and then you put plants on it and the plants kind of grow through that trellis. That's exactly what happens on your skin. So everything, we can regenerate everything.
Yes, no, I totally believe that.
Maybe we can have tails one day.
Hey, you guys, I hate to end this, but Toni has something coming up, so we better thank her for being our host.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Toni, and thank you everyone for being here, and we'll see you all next week.
I would flag this if I were everybody and listen to this again. There were some wonderful questions and great information on this podcast. So this is a great show, and can't wait to do it again. Toni, thank you so much, and hope you continue to keep feeling better. And thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you, everybody. Love you guys.
Yeah,
thank you. I love you guys. I can't wait till next week.
Love you all too.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.